inevitable. Not unlimited, but inevitable. The it is silent. So that's the title of my talk today, but I'm going to talk about why that is now. So I'm going to go back for a second to Reborn. When I asked Lori Savage to give me an image for Reborn, she wrote me back and she said, I have no idea what to give you for this. She said, I'm looking at all these images and I can't find one. And so I said, give me an old person and a young person together. That's all I want to see. And so she sent me this. And she sent me a bunch of them. There were a lot of old people with young people, but this one popped out. And when I saw it, it's exactly what I wanted. And it's the exact image I want you all to notice. That beautiful, tiny little hand in the midst of that older, rougher, darker, even dirt under the fingernails hand that's lived a long time. Because for me, this month is not about rebirth necessarily. It's not about coming back at another time. It's not even about that thing we talk about. I need to be reborn. I need to reinvent myself. It's not about any of that for me. It's all of that, but it's something very specific for me. When I came up with this theme, yes, it did have to do with the fact that it's going to be Christmas, and of course, the baby Jesus in the manger. Most people think that's why I picked this. It's actually not. I would like you to think about things in your life, dreams, moves in your life, dreams especially. What inside of you needs to be reborn? What ideas, what dreams that you may have had a long time ago need to be reborn? Relationships, even relationship with yourself that might need to be reborn. I'm looking for specifics. You know, when last week when I told the story about being on stage at the Forest Theater, remembering that when I was 18, I had that, I wanted to be who I ended up being at 30, because I was 30 when that happened. Karen, when she talked about seeing that picture and going, I want to be there, and now the picture of her and Brad being there. So much, everything actually that shows up in your life was an idea at one point. Whatever's going on, the relationships you're in, the marriages you're in. I remember I took a whole year off dating, which was a shocking thing for the community. I was done. I was in New York and I had had so many crash and burn relationships and it was a mess. And so I was at Unity Church when Dr. Eric Butterworth said something about, if something's giving you a hard time, turn away from it. And I was like, oh, I should turn away from dating. That's really giving me a hard time. And I did. Like for a whole year, I did nothing but study with Dr. Butterworth. I was doing show after show after show. And then I met Kevin. And I always think about that. I'm like, I stopped doing what didn't work. And in my soul, I went, there is someone that I am meant to spend my life with. There is someone who is my soulmate. There is someone who will walk beside me, not in front of me or behind me, but beside me, and that we can travel this journey together. And it was a year later that I met him. But I had the image, and I even wanted blonde hair and blue eyes. Got it all, right? So I had the image, and it showed up. That's what this month needs to be about. I want it to be about. Inside of you, what is in there that wants to be reborn? What idea? And also it's all about getting rid of your yeah buts. Because it's really important to understand and know what is it that stands in the way of your dreams becoming realities. Most often it's all the yeah buts. It's all the things you believe about yourself or about the thing itself that it will never, never transpire. So I have a few slides for you. What dreams deserve to be reborn? So I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath and close your eyes. I'm going to press this button and see if this works. Did it work, Thor? Nope. So Thor, you'll have to do it manually. There's a little bit of music that comes with this slide. Whoop. I lost it. But the slide went away.
You can't have both.
We are not in a limited society. That's so weird. Okay. Just take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Good. So the question was, what dreams deserve to be reborn? And by deserve, I don't mean that you look at the pros and cons. I mean that there's something inside of you, some dream, some aspiration, some idea that has the energy, has the emotion, has the feeling that gives it the right to show up in your life. What dream deserves to be reborn? And whatever it is, if something pops up, see it, visualize it. See what that feels like, if that were to be your experience. Okay, now just take another deep, deep breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So did something come up? Yes? Maybe not. Give it time. It'll still keep going. So it did for me when I did it. And I know what that is. And I had to ask myself, okay, if that wants to be reborn, not just born, but reborn because it's been born 1,000 times inside of you, what's standing in the way? What is it you really need? So, oops. Next. There we go. So Walt Disney said this, all of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So the question becomes, do you have the courage to actually birth whatever that is? Do you have the courage to allow whatever that dream is to manifest? And when I say, do you have the courage, what I mean is, are you willing to get out of the way? Get your mind out of the way, get your thoughts out of the way, get your yeah buts out of the way, get your history out of the way. Remember, principle is not bound, bless you, by precedence. Get your precedents out of the way and give yourself permission to actually live whatever dreams they are. I have to say, you too do it. You see a picture on a screen, and the next thing we know, there's a picture of you standing on it.
I don't want to do that, though.
You're not doing this one? Okay. I just want someone flying through the air. They are attached. You can't see it. She's attached to a bungee cord. It's fine. She or he, can't tell. So the real question is, are you going to do it? You know, every time as we get towards the end of a year, we're like, okay, now what do we want to do in 2025? As though 2025 is some magical place that we all get to, all of our dreams will be realized. That's not the case. When 2025 happens, it's just a minute past 2024, or a second past 2024. Nothing changes, in case you hadn't noticed, unless you change, unless you decide something different. Thor, something's up with this now. It's not, I'm getting all these black screens. There we go. So Khalil Gibran said, yesterday is but today's memory, and tomorrow is today's dream. I think you all know the philosophy that I stand up here preaching every Sunday, right? We all know the philosophy of the science of mind. And the philosophy basically says, whatever you are intending today and believing in today is what shows up tomorrow. It's really that simple. Wherever you put your belief today is where your dream of tomorrow comes from. So, it begs the question, what are you thinking about today? I mean, what's happening in your life today? What are the thoughts that predominantly fill your mind? When you ask yourself to really look at, what did I think all day yesterday? And how is that manifesting today? It's pretty simple to see it. And when you start paying attention, you really start to understand that this philosophy is not just a fun time like Steve Brabant has, but it is really important to know that as I believe, so it is. So I asked you a bit ago to go in and go, what dream deserves to be reborn? And that's great if you have an answer. And even if you don't have an answer, that's great. It will come. But there it is. But what do you believe about that dream? The dream's not enough, folks, unless you just want to be a dreamer. And dreamers are fun, but, do you want to realize it or not? Vincent van Gogh said this, I dream of painting and then I paint my dream. So the question is, are you painting or are you dreaming? Are you actually out there painting your dream? What does painting your dream mean? It means using your mind to create whatever is necessary for that dream to manifest. Yes?
Can you talk about the already established premise in regards to this?
Sure. She said, for those of you at home, can you talk about the already established premise in regards to this? So your already established premise, which is your AEP. It's funny, I was teaching class the other day, and one of our students in advanced consciousness, because I have students from all over the world now, some of them haven't studied with me before, and they're like, she put her little hand up, she's like, what is an AEP? And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot. Some people don't know this. Your already established premise. And your AEPs really get in the way of your dreams if they are not positive, if they are not really constructive. If you have an already established premise that life is hard, anybody?
It'll be hard.
Yeah, it'll be hard. Thank you, Kevin. It will be hard, but it's true. If you have an already established premise that life is difficult, or an already established premise that after 50, not a lot's available. Don't you even hate that I said that? Who in the room is over 50? There you have it. Who in the room is under 50? You're still possible. For a precious few moments. But that's an already established premise that a lot of people take. That age card, you don't, Reverend Nancy. Reverend Dr. Nancy. How old are you now? 91. And she is still out there auditioning, writing books, teaching classes. She is like she is that, what's that little bunny that runs around? The Energizer, yes. Never turns off, this woman. Never turns off. So that's an already established premise. It totally gets in the way. Because Vincent van Gogh, I dream of painting and then I paint my dream. But I can dream of painting the most exquisite. But if I have an already established premise that I suck at painting, I'm probably going to paint not such a good painting. Because that's what I believe in the first place. Or not even try, because a lot of people don't want to do anything they can't do perfect. Which is another one. There's an already established premise you might want to get rid of. Perfectionism. It has to be perfect or I'm not going to do it. Well, that explains a lot of why you've done nothing. Because nothing was going to be perfect. Yeah. And I never had that problem. I didn't. I always believed whatever I was going to do was going to be great. Some people thought that was ego. And it probably was back then. But now I actually understand it better. Ego meaning entertaining God only, not edging God out. When you come from knowing who you are, then you should expect it's going to be good, even if it's only okay. I remember when I was in Gabriella's pottery class pottery, is that what we call it, pottery class? Ceramics class. And I'm making, God knows what that was I made, but I'm looking around and Kevin made this, and he's sitting right next to me, and he made this exquisite, and I still don't know what it was, but it was beautiful. And then he went and found a piece of driftwood that attached to it, and I'm looking at mine going, okay, so this is not my forte. This is not what I do best. But I was okay with it. I was like, but it's still really gorgeous. And then she had a mishap, and some of them didn't, what was it called? They didn't flame up. They didn't fire. And they didn't, so some of the ones didn't work. And I think the universe handled it for me because I never got it back. But of course, Kevin's came back. Beautiful. It now sits in a beautiful place in our living room. I walk by it every day. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's just a result of your already established.
My already established premise, I don't deserve to be fired when it comes to ceramics. But I don't have that anymore. I actually can't wait for the next one because I'm going to make something so freaking big. And I'm going to use every piece of clay you have and do a portrait of myself. Okay, going on. Everybody see her? Everybody know who she is? Yes. Cynthia and Revo. Okay? From Christopher Reeve. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible. Then they seem improbable. And then when we summon the will, they soon become, the title of my talk, inevitable. The question is, for you, what is inevitable? Because guess what? You're sitting on top of the inevitable life you're about to have. Truly. And what's inevitable is whatever you're thinking about it. What is inevitable are the beliefs you have about the life you're living. It's inevitable. Whatever it is. If you're in a relationship, you don't know what to do with it, the inevitability of that relationship lies right there at the center of your belief about it. So, Cynthia and Revo. She is 37, I think, 37, 38 years old. Wicked opened 21 years ago, I believe. 21 years ago, because it celebrated its 20th year on Broadway. She was 20 at the time. 20 or 19. No, she was 18 at the time when she first went and saw Wicked. And I watched an interview with her, and she said she went to see Wicked, and she was sitting in the theater. It so sounded like what I did when I went and saw Gypsy. And she said, I sat there and I looked at that green girl on that stage, and I so identified with her as an English black woman in London, trying to make my way as an actress. I knew I wanted to be an actress, and I looked on that stage and I went, I want to play that role. No one ever cast her. She never got to play that role on stage. But there was a dream sparked that day. Now she will be the most famous person that has ever played Elphaba. And if you haven't seen it yet, and many of you haven't, she gives an extraordinary performance as a 17, 18, 19-year-old girl, which is what she's playing in the movie, yet she's 37, which is another miracle. The fact that they cast someone who was not the age, would be by any stretch of the imagination too old to play a 20-year-old who's going to college. But it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. How powerful is your dream? The world at large has no play in your dream. And that's one of the problems we have. We give too much power. So, there's a song in the show called When I Meet the Wizard. I'm going to give you a little taste of it. Here goes. Go ahead, Thor. That's it. For the rest of it, you got to go see the movie, folks. But going back, so many of our dreams first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when they summon the will, they soon become inevitable. When we talk about our AEPs, that's the wizard. She finds out in this movie, obviously everybody knows this part of it, that the wizard's not what the wizard seems to be. Yet it's once I meet the wizard, I'll be great. Once I meet the wizard and he says I'm good, everybody will love me. We all have that going on. So my question ends up becoming, who's your wizard? It's like, who's your daddy? But it's who's your wizard. Just saying. But who's your wizard? What is it that's telling you yay or nay? What is it that decides for you whether a dream is worth going after? What is it that tells you you have what it takes to make that work, to make it in whatever it is you decide, wherever you decide to make it? Who's your wizard? What's outside of you dictating what was inside of you that wants to get birthed, what wants to get reborn? We all have them. And you know what? Thank you for asking that, Andrea. Your AEPs are wizards. They're the things that are telling you whether you can or can't. So develop some AEPs, some already established premises of, I am God. I am the entire universe funneling through me. And whatever I choose to be, do, have, say, is coming from the divine, from the quantum field of pure creativity. So my last question to you is, what's inevitable in your life and what wants to be reborn? Here's the answer to that. Whatever you're believing today, wherever you are today on your journey, on that yellow brick road of life, wherever you are today in your beliefs, in your premises, that is what is inevitable for your life. And you really need to do the work and pay attention, because you may find out that you had a lot of mixed messages going on in there. Like, yes, I can do it. No, you can't. Yes, I can be successful at this. Well, you could have 10 years ago. I mean, think about it. All the many different variations that come in there and cloud the point. You need one point. Yes, I can. Because that's the truth. Inevitable. My last thing I want to say to you today is that the breadth and depth of what you are capable of is inevitable. It's like that seed. You have divine quantum roots that you come from, because that's who you are. When we say remember who you are the depth of that creative energy. And nothing can stop the inevitability of you emerging and moving up and growing into the brilliance that you are, doing everything that you've ever dreamed of doing and more. I was talking about Cynthia and Revo the other day, and I was saying, or yesterday, and I was saying, I guarantee you she will win an EGOT. She will be an EGOT winner, which is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. And I thought, she's going to probably win the Oscar this year, so that takes care of that part of it. She already has a Tony, and she already has a Grammy, so she just needs an Emmy. And then I was doing more research on her. She already has an Emmy. So she has the Emmy, she has the Tony, she has the Grammy, and she'll probably get the Oscar this year, and she will be one of the youngest EGOT winners ever. And that happened the day that girl sat in that theater watching Wicked and said, I'll have what she's having. And then didn't let anything get in the way of that beautiful root growing, 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 growing. And that, my dear GTC congregation, here and online, that is who you and I are. We don't need a wizard. We just need to remember who we are. Namaste. Thank you.